So this video is sponsored by Bityard, a crypto exchange with 9 out of 10 stars by the Coin Bureau guy, 400 cryptos to choose from their spot exchange, derivatives that include commodities, forex and traditional markets, as well as inverse perpetual coin futures, USDT perpetual futures and leveraged tokens. You can even set up a copy trading account so people can copy your trades, you earn commission on those trades, or you can follow other traders who have better results than you. Set an account up with a link in the description and get mystery box bonuses for completing random tasks. Bityard. Hello everybody, welcome back. Let's have a quick look at the situation over here then. This situation is a little crazy. So altcoins tailing off now after that nice pump. Who was talking about it? Oh yes, it was me. It was me. Ethereum 48% dominance, Bitcoin dominance, and where did we move to? I think it was where was it? Let's just have a quick look at that on the hourly there. It was the magical wick of foot. Yes, epic trade. Well, bittersweet, I have to say. Just having a little flick around the situation here. It has worked out to an extent. Like I say, bittersweet. The idea is to stack sats, and sats were stacked. But yeah, I mean, bittersweet. Obviously, Bitcoin is worth less than it was almost on an hourly basis at the moment, in almost like complete free fall, which is fine. We just buy it back, don't we? So let's have a think about the fair value. I would consider anything below this line here as an absolute steal and should be thought about as an investment, as in picking it up on the way down from here. This is an unreasonable low, unrealistic for it to remain down here for a prolonged period of time. And we're talking like obviously years. You know, in hindsight, you would look at this chart and go, "Oh, I wish I'd bought there. Oh, I wish I'd bought there. Oh my God, I wish I'd bought there." Look, you know, hindsight will always kick in a few years, and you'll see it for what it is. But one thing we should think about is that yeah, we're at the 200 weekly moving average right now, and we've wicked down below it yesterday, or overnight basically. And I said on that video yesterday, it's a bit of a paper tiger considering the size of the move given to us by what could be coming with the Nasdaq, driven by the major tech stocks like Apple, Amazon, Microsoft, Tesla. You know, they all want further down. But this is Tuesday. We do often have something called Turnaround Tuesday. And again, you know, referring back to some of my other videos, I was talking about how the downside in crypto markets over the weekend is going to correspond to a downside on Monday for equities, which will then be a vicious circle for crypto. We are looking for this to maybe have a turnaround Tuesday, but it's too early to say. If we go to the pre-market, it's not looking particularly strong, only up 0.5% at the moment in the pre-market, not very convincing. But if we think about the monthly Bollinger Band down here, where, you know, if there's going to be an area to bounce from, it could be here, but Bollinger Bands aren't particularly useful in panic selling situations, and that's what's going on right now, is panic selling. So let's just take it back to the previous Nasdaq. So again, we're looking at Nasdaq quite a lot on here. So I've marked out obviously a variety of different resistances, stroke supports. So we get rid of these as they go. But the main thing to think about is whatever the support is, this is effectively a descending triangle. Each one of these support will maintain the descending triangle, and the main thing to focus on is the resistance, right? The resistance on the way down. It's a bearish formation, because we're governed by resistance, not just by a trend line, but by moving averages. This is a monthly chart below the 20 monthly, which is the center of a Bollinger Band. Let's have a look, quick back test to any time that we came down below a 20 monthly, because it doesn't happen very often, but sometimes it does happen. So let's have a little look at this. So this is the last time I would say that we really came down below it. This is your housing market collapse, came down below it, rejection. Okay, we managed to creep above it, and then finally got a big rejection and a huge capitulation. This was driven by obviously banks going bust. Big deal. Big problem. We could be looking at something similar to that at the moment, right? So that was a 40% breakdown from the 20 monthly there. And so we didn't get a neat rejection on the 20 monthly. We could easily come back up to test the 20 monthly. But let's just say, all right, the 20 monthly is here. We can measure that down. Okay, so we could be looking for some serious areas. This is your pre-pandemic. No, it's not. That's your pre-pandemic high. Another 30% from the top, so it's about 20% from here. And this would be more or less the pandemic low and these previous tops, which is where we could end up coming down to. Interestingly, that's also where the 100 monthly moving average is as well. So there's a lot of reason to think that the Nasdaq could shoot all the way down to this level, where that's the capitulation. And if that's the case, this is where we break down from. That is a 32% move from where we are right now on the Nasdaq, and that would be overshooting the targets given to us by Amazon, Microsoft, and Apple, which together they were all looking at, if you merge them all together, about a 20% drop. So this would be that, and on top of that, this would include all the other. Well, they're not shitcoins, but they're stocks within the Nasdaq which have already gone to Wrecked City with a one-way ticket. So we could be looking at that, and this would be the area for a capitulation low, 30% for Nasdaq. If we think about what that means for Bitcoin, even if we did a 30% from where we're right now, that's we're coming down to about 15, and we've marked off these other areas like a 50% here, which would take us down to 12. That's realistic as well. 12 has got a lot of support here given to us over a longer period of time, really. Of resistances, and then finally a big breakout from that point forward. So 12 would be an absolutely amazing place for Bitcoin to come down to, and that would be the time to buy it. Absolutely 100% time to buy your Bitcoin with everything you've got. Kidneys, kids, houses. That's when Michael Saylor should be going back on the internet and saying, sell it, sell everything, remortgage everything, buy it. And that would be something I would probably not say, because that sounds like financial advice, but because that's not what I do here. But it would be more realistic to say it around those levels. So a lot of people saying on the internet now. I've seen the thumbnails creeping through on my Telegram channel, which you should join, by the way. At the end. It's the end. But what people fail to recognise is that, I think it was Ocean Colour Scene said once, that every new beginning starts with another beginning's end, right? So by saying it's the end, that's almost like saying it's also the beginning, right? And that's how I would like to mark this, is that yes, it's the end, which means it's the beginning. So the beginning is the end is the beginning, right? So think about it in those terms. It's actually a good thing. So the end is a good thing because it starts with a new beginning. And if there's anything about beginnings with Bitcoin, is that they generally don't look very good, right? This is where I bought my Bitcoin. This is what the chart looked like when I bought Bitcoin, right, back in 2019. It didn't look very good. And a lot of people say to me, oh man, that's risky, man. And of course it is risky, obviously, but they was like, oh, you shouldn't be buying that, man. It's going down to $1,000. And I was like, well, you might be right, but I don't think you are. And lo and behold, it all worked out in the end. Lovely, absolutely lovely. And it's been a good three and a half years worth of craziness. Mostly ups and downs. With a giant big up and many altcoins in the past, but for the most part it starts slow and testing, but before you know it, it does turn around. Now the big elephant in the room is traditional markets, and obviously all the things that are going on within that. And so if we think about the capitulation for the Nasdaq coming down by 30%, we could easily think of Bitcoin coming down by 50%, meaning that 12,000 is a very realistic area for a bottom on this occasion. Forgetting about previous moving averages, forget about all of that. Think about the bigger picture, which is, well, at this stage now, a financial meltdown, right? We've got the FOMC meeting coming up. We've also got new inflation figures that will be due to release. And also on top of that, we think we've got a handle on what's driving inflation, or at least, which is going to help us figure out the next CPI plot, which is obviously oil prices and food prices. It looks like wheat has peaked to me. We were looking at oil the other day. That looks like it could maybe have another run, blow its top off. It remains to be seen, but it's certainly approaching what would be on the chart basis a top. But we all know what's feeding into those prices, right? Geopolitical events, which have already been going on. They've been ongoing, right? They are ongoing. They've been going on for months now. And there might be some more upside for oil when China continues to open up their industries again, because obviously they've been closed down. So there's a chance that oil will spike up again, and it's at that point I would imagine a peak to be formed, maybe $140, $150 barrels of oil. And I would imagine the fluctuation of price between about 75 to 150, more or less. That's going to be our new price range. So inflation will remain high. However, the movement of CPI figures is likely to come down. I would expect reasonably soon or throughout this year start to see those come down, and that will add confidence into markets. But for the moment there's no confidence in them, and that's why we're expecting capitulation lows as people get liquidated, margin calls all over the place. I think Michael Saylor has probably had his by now, but there'll be more to come. And like I say, panic drives markets to unreasonable lows. Never really be surprised by markets. That's what I always say. When we look at spotting tops on money flow indexes, I say, look, it's too hot to handle. We should get out of trades when we're up here, and it still carries on, and moves up even further. That's fine. That's fine. Markets never cease to amaze how high on how low they can go. But the main thing is to take slices out of that price action, whether you're selling on the way up or buying on the way down. That's usually the best way to do it. And that's how I am doing it. All of these levels down here to me seem unrealistic and unreasonable. And if we think about this chart here, obviously anything below this line, I would say this is dollar cost average territory. Even if we are considering this coming down by another $10,000, which is massive. But again, it wouldn't stay down here for very long. It would get picked up because it's not just me that wants Bitcoin. There is lots of other people, institutions and countries that will want it, and that would be the opportunity of an absolute lifetime. It would be a bloody steal, I can tell you that. Now, if we think about this on a 4-year cycle basis, obviously, between now and September, October, November, that's where we'd be looking to effectively put in the lows and start new uptrends and a new cycle. If you still think that the cycle is relevant, I think this cycle has been slightly different to others because I would argue that we actually peaked around this level when it came to volume, and all of this sideways over here was kind of just flogging a dead horse kind of territory, really. So Bitcoin peaked over here, the alt season peaked over here, the market effectively peaked when its market cap over here, and this was just a continuation. But so we had 3 peaks depending on which way you choose to look at it. Either a parabolic blow off top peak with volume, we've got a market cap peak for the total market cap of all crypto, and then a price peak. So we've got 3 peaks, but I would say that this one is probably the more important one to look at, because since here it was dwindling, and most of my profit was taken around these levels. And although I did participate in a few altcoins, some shit coins basically, was it BITRUE and VRA and OMI around these levels, I generally held off for the most part, because if you want to make the most amount of money out of altcoins, you make them when they're significantly low and they've got decent divergences. Obviously we're not going to get any of that for a long time now. But yeah, the altcoin situation has been quite good over these last few days. Like I say, someone told me, someone was speaking about that. I think it definitely was me. Yeah, it was definitely me. So right, I'll leave it with you there. There's not a great deal more to say about the situation other than we should expect lower. We should expect capitulation in traditional markets. We can't hold off for those extreme lows of 12,000s to be hit, but we shouldn't be surprised if they did get hit. And we should take all of this as an opportunity, a massive opportunity, because the major gains are made with participants in the market on a 24/7, 7 days a week type of outlook. If you want to hide under a table now, that's fine, but that's not the time to be. You can go under your table when things start to really pick up and you're safe in your entry point. One of the reasons I'm so relaxed when I trade crypto is my entry points have almost always been pretty low. And this is something you'll get used to the more and more you trade. You buy when things are extremely low and they show signs of recovery, or they hit certain areas of significance. And again, I can afford to be pretty relaxed in upsides and downsides because of those reasons, and you'll get used to that. And the more you do it, and the more you pay attention. If you decide to leave the market now, I can understand that, because it's a painful market to take part in, as are all markets right now. But it's kind of the wrong thing to do. I'm not saying you have to be trading all the time, but to focus on the market is the main thing. Keep an eye on it. Make sure you're aware of it, because most people buy these markets and they fail to buy these markets. And in hindsight, even if you bought this, which is what I could consider to be the equivalent of about the $30,000 zone, this, even though we capitulated afterwards, we were back up to that level and beyond within a 3 or 4 month period. I would expect the same thing to take place with Bitcoin. As more of the supply gets taken off the exchanges and into cold wallets, the lower we go. The giant wealth transfer is taking place in front of your face. Okay, it feels as though it's not, but it is. There is a dwindling supply, and it will continue to dwindle. you know, it's up to you whether you pick it up at lower prices. But remember, this is an investment and it can be traded. This is an investment that can obviously be traded into altcoins, but think about Bitcoin generally as the investment, and the lower we go, the better it is. I've had my sights on the Nasdaq for a while. I've been on the sidelines for traditional markets since Omicron, really, since November, December, and that's a 90% cash position I've been in. But I would start to think about getting around these levels, and if we did capitulate down to these levels, I would be picking up all kinds of stocks. That would be it. That is definitely the time to buy into the stocks, and any of them, all of them, well, maybe not any of them, all of them, but the major tech stocks definitely, the major indexes and ETFs definitely, and obviously even things, you know, that are higher risk, like, I don't know, Coinbase and these other wrecked things like Netflix or whatever. Things that aren't going away, that have gone to wrecked city and look like they'll never recover. They will. They definitely will. But the market is about to have a giant rebalancing act. And if we come down to the pre-pandemic highs, so be it. But if we capitulate lower than that, no one will want them. No one will want stocks apart from me. And I'm not joking. You know, it's a counterintuitive market. You have to buy low in order to make money. And there was your 2008 collapse, and it was at this point and I wasn't in the markets. I was too young. I was working in the film industry back then, but all the way down at this level here, yeah, I remember it clearly. Oh, it's recession. Oh, it's the end of the world. But really, what was it? It was the biggest buying opportunity of the Nasdaq in the last decade, in a generation. Feel free to comment and vomit onto your keyboard with this kind of projection and this kind of analysis, obviously. But it is the truth, all right? It is the truth. Now, if there's something that Bitcoin and crypto can teach us, it's that we can condense these kind of moves into a much smaller space. So this is a generation of price action. You can get this even within a couple of years of Bitcoin or crypto. That's why we like it. Big moves, fast moves, fast turnarounds from bottom to top, from top to bottom. And this is why I gravitated to crypto in the first place. Preference as a spot trader, really, and yeah, you can make some serious gains out of crypto and Bitcoin in a much smaller space of time. Obviously, this has been pretty decent, but this is like you know, what is that? 1,500 over what, a 15-year period? Come on, that's nothing. That's absolutely nothing. Sometimes we do that in a couple of months in crypto, you know. I don't expect we'll be doing that for a while, but we will. We certainly will, and we'll do it all over again. Right, I'm going to leave it with you there, but thank you for watching. Don't get too scared in the market. Be excited. These are the moments that we wait for. Obviously, you can't account for black swans, but if they do happen and capitulation happens and we come down to that 12,000, you will see all those YouTubers, you know, saying, "Oh, it's the end. Stay away. It was all a scam." But you know what? I heard it all before. You know, when I was buying into crypto in 2019, buying at those significant lows and where the chart was wrecked, I heard it all before. It's over. You're a fool. It's over. You know, the blah. No. It's just the way it rolls, all right? And if we do get one of those significant, horrendous wicks, similar to what we had in March over here, which will take us to an unrealistic low, wiping out all the gains that have been taking place over here. It was pretty hardcore. But if we did have one of these, 12,000, that would be epic, absolutely epic. Can't rule it out, but we also can't sit around and wait for it just in case. You buy all the way down, and you will be forgiven in the end, even Matt Damon. Right, thank you for watching, guys. Hope you have a nice day. Take it easy.